So,
Hey, Jack, how are you, my friend?
I'm really, really good. Thanks. How are you?
Great, doing real well, doing real well. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Oh, hey, you know what, dude? Thank you for taking your time. You know what I mean? I'm the one that's to benefit here.
Oh, I hope so. Get as many people listening to this thing as we can because it's pretty great. I have to tell you.
Oh, the record. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think it's the best thing I've ever done.
It's
Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
yeah, it's so cool. It's so diverse, man. It's really different than anything you've ever done. I think.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing even, that I can even resembles it. Or even say, yeah, it sounds like this album.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's definitely not a regurgitated version of an old Great White album.
Right. Right.
So it's
And
definitely a different sound, a different production. Yeah, and it wasn't like I intended that. It's just, I'm writing with a different person, and I had different ideas, and the combination of myself and Robbie Rockner just it turned out to be a great combination.
yeah, that's really cool. And before we get into more of the album, I really want to ask you in all sense because this is what the fans really care about. How are you? Like physically, emotionally, marriage, sobriety. That's what we care about because we don't want to wake up to hear our favorite idols have passed. And that's what you are.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, thank you, man. And I'll be honest with you. I'm actually doing really good.
Great.
Aside from having degenerative disc disease and being 4 inches shorter than I was,
Yeah.
if, other than that, I'm doing really good. I'm physically, I feel good. Mentally, I'm in the best place I've been in years.
That's great.
Writing for me is very therapeutic, and I got to release a lot of demons and on this record. And, I put some thoughts out there that I haven't shared with anybody. And it's funny that I won't tell, my friends about certain things, and I'll write all about them and tell the whole world.
Well, that's what
But,
you do. I mean, that's why you're
yeah,
special.
that's my therapy. And physically, emotionally, I'm great.
Great.
Um, uh, Addiction wise, I've been sober for almost a year and a half after coming
Bravo.
out of a 5-day coma.
Yeah, bravo.
From alcohol, my liver almost shut down, and the doctor told me, he goes, look, and he goes, I know you're some kind of a celebrity from what I understand. And, but he goes, I don't know who you are, it really doesn't matter to me. He goes, he goes, I'm going to tell you something, and you can do what you want with this. If you drink again the way your wife tells me you drink, you're going to die. There's no maybes or, no gray area. It's like you're going to die. Your liver will not take another run, not the way you drink. And I can't kid myself, I drink the way I drink, and if I drink again, I'm not going to drink any differently. I'm not going to have a couple beers and, go home and watch TV.
Right,
It's like I've never had a drink in my life,
yeah, right.
one's too much and a million's not enough. So, with that information, it was very easy for me to get sober and stay sober because I know for a fact that it will kill me. So I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to play a Russian roulette with 6 bullets. So, that was very easy for me to get sober and to stay sober with that, that information. So I'm doing great all the way around. I feel really, really good.
That's
My
great.
voice feels great. My marriage is awesome. It's the best relationship I've ever had by leaps and bounds. And we're just getting ready to come up on our 6-year anniversary in March, and it's life is good. I got no complaints.
Fantastic.
Nobody listens anyway.
Oh man, yeah, we do. I tell you, as a longtime fan, that is the most important question I'll ask you tonight for sure. Um,
Thank you very much, man. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
And you're not going to answer any questions about any kind of fires. So,
Right on. I appreciate that. That's
yeah,
a story that's been talked about way too much.
yeah, you've
So,
answered every question 100 times over, and
oh, easily, yeah.
except maybe if it has some bearing on your writing, yeah, and your music today. Like
Well,
writing.
yeah, there is, a song on the record that, I had that in mind and thinking about, the greatest loss you could have in your life, would be, a loved one, like your wife or your son or your daughter, your sister, brother, or whatever.
Right.
And because my wife has been very sick for a long time, and, um, so there is that possibility. I mean, she's got a 20 to 50% chance of living for the next 2 years. And that's pretty bad odds,
Yeah, yeah,
but she's a fighter, and I trust she's going to be fine. But she's going through some hard times. She has such sepsis syndrome, which I could have had, should have had, but didn't. I was in septic shock when my
right.
colon burst. And I was in a coma again for 5 days. There's something about 5-day comas. I don't know what it is, me. But anyway, my wife had it twice. She had
Wow.
some problem with her colon as well, which is really strange. I mean, we kind of laugh at it. If you put our colons together, there'd be a whole colon.
Yeah. Wow.
We were thinking about getting a necklace made. Those hearts are like cut in half. And each person wears a half a
Yeah.
heart.
Right.
We're going to get like a colon and cut it in half, and then wear apart. But I started thinking about how would I feel? I mean, like, what would you do if we had no more tomorrows? What would you say is the last thing before I pass away? And I started thinking about that, and like, what would you say to your wife or your husband or your children or whatever if they were on their deathbed? What would the last thing you would want to say to them? And
Right.
that's really, really, really hard to digest, And I mean, when we came up with the song, I originally said, well, would you just, if you had no more tomorrows, what would you say, as I turned and walked away or something like that, with some lyric like that. And Robbie goes, how about as I pass away or something like that? And I go, whoa! I just start bawling. He goes, dude. I go, that's it. He goes, you sure? I go, yeah, man, that's the lyrics.
Yeah.
That is the lyrics right there. Because I want people to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to feel emotion, either sadness or gladness or angst or anger or, because, I'm sorry, but everybody needs a good cry now and then,
Absolutely.
and a lot of people I played this for, I played on airplanes, we played the album for people, it was just a random person. Hey, what do you think of this, And
Right.
I'd listen to it and had a stewardess one time listening to that song, and she just started bawling, and she took the headphones off and ran to the kitchen. And I'm like, oh man, I bet she lost somebody. And she came out and she said, she gave us this note, I'm so sorry, I just lost my mother. And then she came back and said, can I finish hearing that song? I go, do you really want to? She goes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she was just such a beautiful song, I go, thank you. She goes, it really helped me.
See.
I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
it was just amazing. And it helped me with healing, losing my parents and a lot of my friends,
Right.
in that tragedy,
Sure.
so I hope it can bring some kind of comfort to people,
Yeah.
I
I,
mean, I hope,
sure.
it's just,
And
it's just, every song I write, except for a few here and there, have been very autobiographical. And I find myself becoming more transparent with every album I do,
right.
and that's my goal, to free myself of all this stuff and just put it out there to the world. Like, look, this is who I am, like it, lump it, don't, whatever, this is me.
Right.
I want people to know who I am and what I'm about. I'm not this, egotistical, jerk that thinks he's better than everybody else because I can sing. I'm privileged and honored to be able to get up in front of people and try to make them feel good, and have a good time. It is the most wonderful job that I could ever think of, and there's nothing more important to me other than my wife, than my audience, you know. Um, I just want to impact people's lives, you know, in a positive way, you know.
Sure, and I mean, like I say, your music throughout my life is, and so many other people that I know. It's just it's so powerful. Like the impact that it had on that stewardess. That all those songs have that kind of impact. I listen to them today. They have an impact. I either clench my fists or I start to cry a little bit, or I mean, it's just so powerful what you do. So
Thank you very, very much. That's a wonderful compliment. I mean, my thoughts on the record, like I said, I just, it's funny because I always listen to my own albums. I mean, but usually I'm burned out in like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, enough of that. I can still listen to this record, every day. It's just, if it was somebody else's, I would still love it. I'd be like, damn, I'm jealous. I should have wrote that,
That's cool.
Like every time I hear Stairway to Heaven, I'm like, I should have wrote that. But of course I didn't.
Now, who produced the album? Did you produce it yourself?
My guitar player Robbie Lochter and myself. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Mostly Robbie because we recorded in his studio at his house, and he had access to it 24/7. So I'd come down there, there'd be a whole other guitar part, and I'm like, whoa, that wasn't there before. Let's do it again. No, don't like that. Okay, get rid of it. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, we're keeping that. So mostly it was amazement. I think there was only one time where there was something that I wasn't really keen on. For the rest of it, I was just like, oh my God, that's brilliant. The guy is a total musical genius, and I mean that literally. He's he's very in the theory, but he's very street smart, musically. He knows when not to play. The guy can, play swift as a gazelle, but, he knows when not to play, and that is a talent in itself,
Right, that's probably the most important thing, the notes that aren't played.
Sure. You got to leave air in a song. There's definitely a time to shred, and there's a time to just sit there, and just let the groove happen.
Mm-hmm. What was that writing and recording process like? Today we got the digital world, and people are sending files back and forth, and there's not 4 guys or 5 guys in a studio hacking it out. How did you go about it?
Well, we played mostly live in the room. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I did I'd sit there sometimes and sing the scratch track, sing the scratch vocal. Mm-hmm. But we rehearsed enough so everybody knew where the parts were. So if I couldn't make it down, they already knew where the vocals came in and when they stopped, and so Dickie knew when to do a fill and when not to, and. It was really easy. The only song that took a long time was the last song, which Godspeed. That took a lot of time. I wasn't there, fortunately, for all that because that was put together with my guitarist. I wrote the song with him. He came up with the music, and I came up with the melody and the lyrics, and, then... he asked me, hey, I want to make an a cappella song out of this. Because we've got enough ballads in the album. I go, what? An a cappella song? You're kidding me, right? I go, what? Like some barbershop quartet? He goes, no. He goes, kind of like the 50s.
Yeah,
and I go, I love that kind of music. I go, all right, dude, I trust you enough. And, we do have ballads on the record, so to do something different, all right, go ahead and try it. So a month later, he comes back and he goes, dude, I finished that song. I go, what song? He goes, Godspeed. I go, really? He goes, you want to hear it? I go, well, of course I do. So he puts it on, and from the minute it came on, I just started laughing so hard. It was like close to, lying on the floor, kicking my feet and peeing myself, and he's looking at me like, oh, no. I just wasted all this time. He goes, what's the matter? I go, there's nothing the matter. This is freaking brilliant. I go, I've never heard anything like this. This is amazing. I'm listening to all these different parts swimming in and out of each other and merging with this and then expanding into that. And, it goes from an ooh into a vocal line as a harmony with what I'm doing. And
Oh yeah.
it's just, I mean, to me, it's beautiful.
It is.
I've only had one person to slag it, and that was one reviewer that just, he's, oh, it reminds me of being in your future malt shop, I go, this album I gave a 5. It's got 3 good songs with it. I mean, all the heavy ones.
Right.
And I said, well, this guy's obviously, one of those guys that goes to Slipknot shows and stuff.
Right.
But that was the only person that ever said anything bad about the record so
Yeah.
far. I mean, I'm sure it's not for everybody, but
Well, that's what I was saying. It is diverse. I mean, that's like a doo-wop tune. You even like do a little rap thing, like, and she makes
yeah,
she
yeah,
moves me. Don't let me go is like a '70s R&B kind of funky thing.
yeah.
It's really anything for you. It even has like a Beach Boys harmony thing going on.
Right, right.
So that's, I mean, it's not your typical Great White record, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, well, that's, I didn't want to make another version of what we've done before. I didn't want to be Great White. What I
Right.
mean? I wanted to elevate what I've been doing. What I mean? I wanted to take it and, okay, let's take this and let's just, I like the blues. That's never going to change. There's always going to be that element in there, but I want to have bigger vocals, bigger harmonies, more interesting harmonies. What I mean?
Right.
Because everybody in the band sings. Every person in the band sings. So I didn't sing one background vocal for a change.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
So and live is amazing because you got, 4 guys and me singing. So we can do anything.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And,
Yeah.
the players are just, these guys are veterans and pros, and they're excited about it, and they're, all positive, and it's not like they're just out there, making a paycheck and going through the motions. I mean, when me and Roddy look at each other and we're laughing, we're really laughing because we're having such a good time.
That's great.
And it's like, what a great job, It's like, I never worked a day in my life, except for traveling, what I mean? Other than that, I don't consider it work, It's like, that's what they call it, playing.
Right. That's great, man. That's really good to hear. How do you care for your voice? I mean, the voice is in tip-top shape. It hasn't changed at all, man. It's incredible.
Well, I have a regimen that I do. I've been doing it for, God, since 1983 when Don Dokken turned me on to his vocal teacher, and I was seeing him for just years until he finally said, I taught you everything I know. Now it's your time to go out and teach. It was kind of like Kung Fu,
Yeah,
You got the
right.
pebble from my hand. It was time for you to leave. Time for you to leave. Grasshopper,
There you go.
So, now what I do is I get up 7 hours before each show, and I just wake up for an hour and, drink some tea or whatever. And then I get in the shower and I warm up for 10 minutes. Just, I'm not even making a sound, but I'm,
Yeah, right.
it's like,
Yeah. I took a little voice
so
myself, and we
you
always
can't
called
even
it,
hear it. And
yeah,
I'm not
bubbling.
putting any
Yeah.
music, any notes behind it, but my voice is, my vocal cords are moving as if I was hitting a note. You know what I mean? Your muscles are moving, they're stretching out.
Yep.
And then an hour and a half later, I do another set, and which is like 10 minutes. And then an hour and a half later, I do another 10 minutes. And then an hour and 15 minutes later, I do like 12 minutes. And by that time, I'm doing it, like, and with my almost full voice.
Fantastic.
And then an hour and 15 minutes from there, I do my last one, which is 20 minutes. And 10 minutes later, I walk on stage. I get done with walk off stage, go right into the dressing room, and I'm warmed down for 10 minutes. I've been doing that for years. I can't even imagine how many times I've done that warm up. I mean, it's like 6 times a day, for every show. I mean? It's like, God, there's times where I'm like, I'm so sick of this. I don't want to do it. But,
Sure.
it's what makes my voice work,
Yep, and it works. Let me tell you, it's still crazy great.
Thank
Um,
you, thank you. Well, it's a gift, and I treat it like that.
it's fantastic. I want to talk a little bit about the older Great White stuff with you. Start out with what's your favorite Great White record?
Can't get them here.
Yeah,
That was the one we released from
yeah,
Sony in 1999.
with Jack
I
Blades.
love the engineer, the mix on that. We actually had a guy named Noel Golden come in and mix the record, and he really, made it sound rock.
Oh yeah,
You know, and the songs are just, I think they're great. I mean, the
wouldn't
lyrics
Jesus?
are fantastic, and I just think it's just a great album. It's very eclectic.
Yeah, I
And
love it too.
I mean, sure, there's other albums. I mean, like I love Rock Me, I love Lady Red Light, I love Mistreater. I
Right.
mean, I love those albums, but
Hmm.
this particular record to me represented a really big jump and a real step above what we had done in the past. And of course, that was, I think, a lot due to Jack Blades producing it
Right.
and co-writing on some of the songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Any
um,
chance you work with
that's
Jack
my favorite
Blades?
one.
Any chance of working with Jack Blades again?
I don't really feel like I really need a producer when I have Robbie. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
the guy is a genius. I mean, I listen to the sound of this record, and and he's not. As long as we have somebody good engineering it on the back end, I'm perfectly confident that we can produce our own stuff. I'm really happy with the production on this record. The only thing I would change is what we did in the last minute, like the last day, because we were 30 days late in turning it in.
Right.
And the last night we go, God, I think the lead vocal might be a little bit hot. And so we brought it down a little bit. And like after we got finished with it and it was already mastered, I'm going like, oh no. On some stereos, you're like, God, the vocal's like in the mix. It's not just above it.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
like, I would change that if I had to do anything. But
Okay.
if we have a chance to another pressing, we have a version that's mixed with the vocal up. So, and that's what we go to radio with and everything else. But I mean, it's not like it's really noticeable. It's
Right.
just I notice it more than anybody else, or
Sure.
because it's like I'm so in the song.
Sure. Sure. Um,
I mean,
if
I'm a hypercritical.
Well, yeah, yeah, and that's what That's how you perfect your art. Um,
Yeah.
if I had somebody here, hypothetically, that had never heard you sing or had never heard Great White, what should be the first thing I play for them?
Well, we're talking Great White, not Jack Russell's Great White, right?
Either one.
Well, I
What
would
best
play him.
represents you?
I'd play him Rock Me probably,
Okay.
because I mean, I don't think that the band I have now sounds like Great White. I mean,
Right.
it does. It always will because of my voice
Right.
and the kind of songs I write. But the combination of Robbie and myself versus the combination of Mark Kendall or Michael Lardy and myself, or apples and oranges.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So
Agree.
I mean, if you're talking, I'm going to talk strictly Great White. I would say Rock Me, because I think that represents the band.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like this is finally where this band should be at. Shot in the Dark was too full of keyboards for me,
Right.
and we just got Michael to play keyboards, and I think we just kind of went a little overboard on him.
Right.
And Once Bitten was, I think we finally, it's like, okay, this is where we need to live right here musically.
Yeah.
We can go check out this part of our area and this part of our area and this part of our area, but this is where the center of our world needs to be.
Yeah.
And subsequently, that's kind of what happened. Later on, I think some of the records we kind of lost where we were at, and they became really mellow. And there wasn't enough rock on them. And I look back at records, I'm like, I would have done a different record now then, in hindsight. But, you're always where you're supposed to be, and you write what you feel at the time. And, I'm not saying that anything that we did was, like horrific or anything. I'm just saying there was a couple albums that if I had to go do them over again, I would take this song, that song, that song, and throw them away and write something else.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about at the end in the credits of the Psycho City album. Now, this is really relative to He Saw It Comin, because there's a picture of Tony Montana, and it says 1987 to 1992.
I know. Okay, I would say you died. You know what I mean? I was like, my manager put that up. I'm like, dude, it looks like he passed away.
Yeah, and it says, "May you find what you need to find. Happy trails." I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like horrible.
Right.
You know?
I didn't know whether to take that as a negative or a positive. Like, good riddance, you mother. To get out of here.
That was our ex manager who put that up there. I mean, I wouldn't have wrote something like that.
Right.
I mean, that was just, so it's like, kiss my ass, dude. In a nutshell, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, right.
May you find what you need to find. It's like,
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like it makes it sound like an ungrateful, whatever. And then,
I've always wondered that. Ever since I got the album, I saw it and I said, wow, he must have really pissed them off.
No, I had no hard feelings with Tony. I'm the one that fired him.
Yeah,
I'm the one that sat there and I just asked him one question. I said, why do you want to be, why should you be in this band? And he didn't answer me. He couldn't answer me. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go. Right.
And now he's
back, and he's he asked me to be in the band. So after we talked a long time, he goes, you know what, man, I'm sick of having somebody else out there playing my riffs and getting paid for the stuff I wrote. And I go, yeah, well, you're always welcome. And I was right there looking. I was at the time I just fired my bassist. He goes, okay, man, I'm in. I go, all right. If you're in, you're all the way in. He goes, okay, and I'm all the way in, man. So he's been, nothing but a blessing. He's a great guitarist. He's on guitar now, which is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
So I got two lead players. They swap off leads, And it's just amazing to watch that. But go, wait a minute, that guy's playing lead now. Whoa, what a shit. They can both play really well, And they're both just amazing guitarists.
Twin harmonies, man. You're going to be Wishbone Ash.
Yeah, oh yeah. So, it's a lot of fun. It's a band I've always wanted. So I feel like I've arrived,
That's cool. What about your relationship with Mark and the other guys?
There is none. There is none.
What about
they
court?
They completely cut me off.
What about the court process? Is that over and done? Are we going to have two Great?
Oh yeah, it's been done for a long time.
Okay, but they're still recording it under Great White.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is, I decided not to go to court and fight it because, it's like you never know what a jury's going to do. And, it was all my fault, for being all wasted and canceling tours and, and not being able to be counted on. I was like the weak link in the chain and that could break and had broke many times over.
Yeah.
So I would have fired me too.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset with them about that. I mean, they didn't fire me. They just, they stopped taking my calls. They wouldn't talk to me, So, they couldn't fire me. I was the president of the corporation, and there was only me and Mark in it. The two guys were hired, 1099 employees.
Right.
But then when they came at me, they're like, "Oh, there's three guys," and I'm going, "No, there's only Mark and me. You guys are just paycheck guys. So don't be getting all big. And, don't be all getting too big for your britches, so to speak.
Right.
But whatever. It meant it was supposed to happen, so it happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel better for it. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and they're where they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
so
it's great that we still have you doing your thing, And
well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm happy as hell to be able to keep doing my thing. It's like, wow, man, it was a narrow miss. Many times.
Now you mentioned a book. Now this has been years ago that I heard you're in the middle of it. Are we going to get that book? Do you have a
It'll be out eventually. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the right time. I mean, I've got a lot of it done. I still need to do more. But my life was such an adventure. Um,
to say the least.
no, really. I mean, it's hard even to remember some things, and I want to be, I want to really make it chronological. I don't want it to jump from one place to another. You know what I mean? And it needs to be written really, really well. So I've been waiting to find a writer. And I've got a couple of people in mind that want to do it, but they're in the middle of other books right now. So I'm just kind of biding my time.
Cool. Cool. I wanted to ask you about one other collaboration with Clarence Clemens. Down to the Doctor, especially. I love what a great song. How did that come about with Clarence?
Clarence, well, I guess my manager knew him, and he asked him to, come down and play, and he is amazing. He just blew right through it in one take. It's like, wow.
That was really cool.
So
that's a really cool combination. The Great White Sound and that sax, that booming sax,
yeah.
is really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was cool.
Geez, we gotta wrap this up, man. Okay, I'm sorry. Man. I got another interview at 5, so.
What's on the bucket list? Well, you've done everything, man. I mean, you've been
around. Bucket list is a Grammy and an American Music Award, a Billboard Award, and an Oscar.
All right, man.
That's on my bucket list.
That's cool. I look forward to seeing all that, man.
I'm just putting it out there, man.
Very cool. Very cool. So we're going to see you on tour, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. We'll be out doing a lot of shows this year.
Same band as the album, right? Or, yeah. With Robbie and everybody? Fantastic.
Huh? Yeah, it's going to be great, man.
That's so cool. Well, I'll let you go, Jack. And again, it's been beyond an honor. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, thank you. I'm sorry to make it so short, man.
No
they
problem.
Just got me backed up today. Like all day long I've been doing interviews, which is a great thing.
Man,
but, they only give me half an hour. So it's like,
Yeah, hey, just 2 minutes with you is more than an honor. So I am so appreciative.
Oh, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, man. And please take care of yourself. And, I want to wake up every day and hear that Jack Russell's out there.
You got it, my brother. Thank you, and I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Much love to you, man.
You too, man.
All right. Bye.
Bye.